he can beat Justin Gaethje, which he is, I believe, currently around a 2-1 favorite to do so.
He is?
Yeah, a little surprising there.
That's fascinating. It's not like I think Patty should be some ginormous underdog. But that number being so far the other way does surprise me. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it does. Then I look at the stuff on Justin's side. I don't know if you saw that thing about the ingrown hair, the staph infection. That's one thing. Trevor Whitman just did an interview with Brett Okamoto at ESPN, basically saying like, this is it for us. If we don't win this, we're not sticking around for money fight. I kind of worry for where Justin Gaethje's mind is at, because he was going to hold out and retire if he didn't get a fight like this either.
I just think Justin is so experienced, so violent. He brings an element that none of Patty's past opponents has had. That being said, there are times where, I think there'd be a lot of opportunities for Patty to get a submission. So that's what makes it a compelling fight.
Paddy Pimblett just dropped a bombshell that has the entire MMA world losing their minds. He straight up declared that his sparring partner Luke Riley is better than Justin Gaethje. Better than Justin F*** in Gaethje. We're talking about a guy who went to war with Khabib, traded bombs with Dustin Poirier, and has been destroying people for over a decade. And Paddy thinks some relatively unknown teammate hits harder and strikes better. The audacity is absolutely unreal. But here's the kicker. This isn't just random trash talk. Paddy genuinely believes this, and his reasoning behind it might actually change how you view their upcoming interim title fight. Because if he's right about Riley, then everything we think we know about this matchup is completely wrong.
On the feet with him. There's the blueprint there to beat him. Max done it. Everyone underestimates my strike and everyone thinks I'm just going to come in and I'm going to take him down, and I'm not. He had an absolute war with Chandler and I peaked Chandler up. I don't wrestle like a normal person. I don't shoot double legs and single legs and wrestle like a normal person does. I do everything differently. I'm not normal. He's not going to be able to get a sparring partner in what grapples like me or strikes like me, because I'm a weirdo. I'm honest, Val, and I'm very awkward. You can't really get a sparring partner in to do me because I'm so...
The Liverpool fighter isn't just talking out of his asterisk either. He's been going to war with Luke Riley every single day in training camp, and what he's seeing is apparently blowing his mind. Riley, who absolutely demolished his UFC debut opponent with a vicious knockout in the second round, has been lighting Paddy up in sparring sessions. And instead of being discouraged, Paddy's using it as fuel for his confidence. His logic is wild but makes sense. If he can hang with someone he considers superior to Gaethje, then stepping into the cage with the actual Gaethje should feel like a step down. But here's where it gets interesting. Riley's background is pure striking from day one. While most MMA fighters transition from wrestling or jiu-jitsu, this guy started learning Muay Thai in Thailand as a kid. We're talking about someone who was throwing elbows and knees before he could probably tie his shoes properly. Then he added high-level amateur boxing to the mix. So when Paddy says Riley's striking is more refined than Gaethje's, he's comparing someone with a lifetime of pure striking development against someone who built his foundation on wrestling first.
Justin Gaethje fan prior to any thought of fighting him?
I am a Justin Gaethje fan, not was, I am.
Yeah.
And anyone who is an MMA fan and isn't a Justin Gaethje fan isn't an MMA fan. Like, I always say, he's your favourite fighter's favourite fighter. He's one of my favourite fighters, one of the best fighters that you can watch. And the fact that I'm now getting in there against him is...
Now here's what's absolutely wild about this whole situation. Gaethje's team knows exactly what Paddy's doing, and they're scrambling to prepare for it. They're desperately trying to find training partners who can simulate Paddy's awkward, unorthodox style. But here's the problem: nobody fights like Paddy Pimblett. His grappling entries come from bizarre angles. His striking rhythm is completely offbeat. His scrambles are chaotic and unpredictable. You can't just grab some random lightweight and tell him to fight weird for a few rounds. Paddy's style is the result of years of developing his own unique approach to mixed martial arts. It's not something you can replicate in a training camp. And Paddy knows this. He's banking on the fact that no matter how hard Gaethje's team works, they can't truly prepare for the *T storm that's coming their way. Meanwhile, Paddy's been dealing with elite-level striking pressure from Riley every single day, getting comfortable with chaos, and finding his rhythm against someone he genuinely believes is better than his actual opponent.
Mixed for this fight, but I just feel like there's a lot of ulterior factors that people aren't considering other than just his recent win over Dan Hooker. I know he's a top contender, but there's a whole lot that he's done wrong before, and this is the big Paramount debut.
And lad, people are saying like Justin Gaethje, he's older than that lad. He's 2 years older than Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker couldn't grapple a foot off his ma. You know what I mean?
Okay, strong statements about Dan Hooker there. We're in fight mode.
But get this, While Paddy's been playing mind games and talking about his sparring partner, Justin Gaethje has gone completely dark. And I mean dark in the most terrifying way possible. This man has openly stated that he doesn't plan on holding anything back in this fight. He's not expecting to be standing when the final bell rings. Think about what that means coming from someone with Gaethje's reputation. We're talking about a fighter who has never, ever backed down from violence. A guy who willingly trades his brain cells for entertainment. And now he's saying this fight is going to be different. This isn't just another war for him, this is potentially his last shot at greatness. Because here's what nobody's talking about. If Gaethje wins this interim title, he becomes the first fighter in UFC history to win an interim belt twice. That's not just a cool stat, that's legendary status. That's the kind of record that gets you into the Hall of Fame, regardless of what else happens in your career. The pressure on him is absolutely insane, and his response is to basically promise a murder scene inside that octagon.
For us, Justin Gaethje has good wrestling. He uses it very well defensively.
I don't wrestle like a normal person. I don't shoot double legs and single legs and wrestle like a normal person does. I do everything differently. I'm not normal. He's not going to be able to get a sparring partner in what grapples like me or strikes like me because I'm a weirdo.
He did call your style awkward, actually.
I'm honest, and I'm very awkward. You can't really get a sparring partner in to do me because I'm so awkward. I'm looking forward to fighting him. As I say, he's a legend. He's someone I've always loved watching. So to get the chance to actually get in the cage and fight with him is unbelievable. Like, I can't wait to have Justin Gaethje on my resume. It's going to be something that'll last forever, you know what I mean? It'll be part of my legacy. And
speaking of pressure, let's talk about what's really driving both of these guys. Gaethje has been here before. He won an interim title, then lost it. He's tasted championship gold and had it ripped away. That kind of experience can either make you stronger or break you completely. Some fighters get gun-shy after losing a big fight. Others become desperate and make mistakes. But then you have Paddy, who's never been in this position before. He's hungry in a way that's almost frightening. This is his first real shot at a major title, and he's treating it like his last. The energy is completely different. Gaethje is fighting to reclaim something he lost. Paddy is fighting to grab something he's never had. And historically, that hunger often beats experience when it comes to the biggest moments. Look at what happened when young, hungry fighters faced established champions. Sometimes that raw desire just can't be matched by someone who's been there before.
Scousers don't get knocked out.
I'm a Scouser. We don't get knocked out.
What do you say to that?
Yeah, we'll see. I will try to test that theory.
Have you allowed yourself to think ahead to once you win, if you get the win, Ilya?
Nope, I've said it before, I don't ever plan on being alive after the fight, so if that's how it ends, that's how it ends.
Here's where the plot thickens even more. Other top contenders are already picking sides, and their reasoning reveals everything about the politics of this division. Arman Tsarukyan has made it crystal clear that he wants Gaethje to win. Why? Because he thinks Gaethje will actually fight him next. He believes Paddy would duck him and look for easier fights. That tells you everything about how the division views both fighters. They see Gaethje as an honorable warrior who takes on all comers. They see Paddy as someone who might play politics with his career. Whether that's fair or not doesn't matter, perception is reality in this game. And if other fighters think Paddy would avoid tough matchups, that creates a narrative that could haunt him throughout his entire championship reign if he wins.
It's the win for Justin Gaethje. We all know Justin Gaethje. I know personally his calf kick is devastating and changes the tide of every single fight. So on a guy like Paddy Pimblett, this might even be the size difference. Paddy is going to be damn near 200 pounds the night of the fight. I don't think it's going to be this drastic. Will's probably about, what, 220? Sure. About 220. And right now I'm probably 200, so that's a 20-pound difference. But I think the keys to Justin's victory, it's one of the main keys, is being able to use this calf kick effectively. So if me and Will are lined up here, the main thing I want Justin to be able to do is I want him to be able to jab and slap and put Paddy Pimblett, put his weight on this leg. I want him to constantly be putting his weight on this leg. So he's gonna do that by cutting off this side, jab, slap, and before Paddy could even step, bombing that leg kick there. And if you look, Paddy was doing a great job doing the calf kick against Mike Chandler. He was doing a great job kicking, so he's probably going to return it. But I think in general, if Justin is able to keep bombing this leg kick, I think it's really going to shut Paddy down and be able to nullify a lot of his attacks. You might start seeing him limp. You might start seeing him switch stances. From there, Justin can use the speed of his hands and use his boxing. I think it's much better than Paddy's. I think he's faster, and I think he's cleaner on the inside. I think this calf kick's gonna be one of the main things to be able to beat Paddy in this fight.
Even Michael Chandler, who has the unique perspective of having fought both men, is dropping some serious knowledge about this matchup. After getting submitted by Paddy earlier this year, Chandler admitted that the Brit is way better than people give him credit for. But when it comes to picking a winner, he's still going with Gaethje. His reasoning, experience, and well-roundedness. Chandler thinks Gaethje represents a type of test that Paddy simply hasn't faced yet. And coming from someone who's been in there with both guys, that carries serious weight. Chandler isn't just making predictions based on highlight reels. He's felt their power, experienced their pressure, and knows what it's like to be in deep waters with both fighters. When he says Gaethje is different, you have to listen. But here's the crazy part. Chandler also thinks whoever wins this fight could eventually beat Ilia Topuria when he returns. That means he sees both guys as legitimate championship material, which makes this interim title fight even more significant.
Gaethje is fighting Paddy Pimblett coming up. Who do you favor?
I want Justin to beat Paddy. Yeah. Because that Justin, he's gonna fight with me, but Paddy, if Paddy wins, he's gonna try to avoid me and trying not to fight me because he's not man like.
The legendary Uriah Faber has been breaking down the stylistic matchup, and his analysis is fascinating. He sees Gaethje as someone who thrives in absolute chaos. The bloodier and more violent the fight gets, the more comfortable Gaethje becomes. It's like he feeds off damage and gets stronger as the fight progresses. Faber acknowledges that Paddy's submission game is legitimate and dangerous, but he thinks Gaethje's collegiate wrestling background gives him the tools to survive on the ground and get the fight back to striking. And that's where things get interesting. If this fight stays standing, most experts favor Gaethje's proven power and experience. But if Paddy can drag him into grappling exchanges, especially later in the fight when both guys are tired, that's where the real danger lies. The question becomes, can Paddy implement his game plan against someone who's been in wars with the absolute best lightweights in the world?
Man, more skilled, more experienced, I think better fighter all around, Justin Gaethje. But I also have been on record and said that Paddy Pimblett is better than a lot of people think he is. You know, because of his haircut and the way he talks, and when I fought him, he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got long reach, good kicks, pretty darn patient and composed in there, but Gaethje's a whole different animal. So if I had to bet, I'd go Justin Gaethje, interim champion, and then he beats Ilia Topuria later on.
But here's the most intriguing perspective of all. Some fighters who have faced both men think motivation could be the deciding factor. Gaethje has been here before. He's won an interim title and lost it. He's fought for undisputed championships and come up short. That history could be weighing on him. There's something different about fighting for something you've already had versus fighting for something you've never experienced. Paddy has that first-time hunger, that desperate desire to prove he belongs at the absolute top. He's not fighting to reclaim anything. He's fighting to announce himself as the future of the division. And that kind of motivation can be incredibly powerful. It can push you through walls that experience alone can't break down. The question is whether that hunger can overcome the technical advantages and battle-tested experience that Gaethje brings to the table.
Pimblett and Justin Gaethje. Who do you favor in that fight?
I gotta go with Gaethje. I feel like he's the one that loves to get down and throw fist for fist. And he's also got the Division I wrestling to negate some of the biggest skill sets of Paddy. Paddy's a very dominant grappler when it comes to submissions. I think Gaethje has the tools to keep it where he wants it.
Tony Ferguson.
So here we are, just days away from one of the most fascinating stylistic matchups in recent memory. Paddy's bold claim about Luke Riley being better than Gaethje has added another layer of intrigue to what was already a captivating storyline. You've got the hungry young lion making outrageous predictions and backing them up with his unique training methods. Then you've got the grizzled veteran promising violence and fighting for his place in history. The entire lightweight division is watching, waiting to see who emerges as the interim champion and earns the right to face Ilia Topuria when he returns. This isn't just about a belt. It's about the future direction of one of the UFC's most stacked divisions. So here's my question for you. Do you think Paddy's confidence is justified, or is he about to get a brutal reality check from one of the most dangerous strikers in the sport? Drop your predictions in the comments below, smash that like button if this breakdown helped you understand the real stakes of this fight, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on because this division is about to get turned upside down. I'll see you in the next one.
Not bad, dude. Paddy's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again, Paddy's in for a new treat, right? Paddy's the one that's never fought for a belt. He's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion.
As January 20th. And before we wrap this up, let me tell you about something that's been flying completely under the radar. The betting odds for this fight have been swinging back and forth like a pendulum, and it's revealing some serious insider knowledge. When the fight was first announced, Gaethje opened as a heavy favorite. That made sense, veteran striker with proven power against the unorthodox grappler. But then something weird started happening. Sharp money began pouring in on Paddy, and I'm talking about the kind of bets that move lines. Professional gamblers who make their living off inside information started backing the Liverpudlian hard. Now here's where it gets spicy. These aren't casual fans throwing $20 on their favorite fighter. These are people who have connections to training camps, people who know things the general public doesn't. The fact that serious money is backing, Paddy tells us that something is happening behind closed doors that we're not seeing. What's even more telling is the prop bet action. The over-under for total rounds has been hammered toward the under, meaning smart money thinks this fight ends early. But here's the kicker. Most of the finish bets are going toward Paddy by submission, not Gaethje by knockout like you'd expect. That suggests the sharp bettors believe Paddy's grappling advantage is more significant than anyone realizes. They're betting that his ability to drag Gaethje into deep waters and find a submission will overcome Justin's striking superiority. When you see this kind of betting pattern, it usually means there's information circulating in insider circles that hasn't reached the mainstream media yet. Maybe Gaethje's been dealing with an injury in camp. Maybe Paddy's been looking absolutely phenomenal in sparring. Whatever it is, the smart money knows something we don't. Now let's talk about something that could completely change this entire fight, the referee assignment. The UFC hasn't announced who's officiating yet, but the choice could be absolutely crucial. If they assign someone like Mark Goddard or Dan Miragliotta, refs who are quick to stand fighters up and keep the action moving, that heavily favors Gaethje. These guys don't let fighters work on the ground for extended periods. They want exciting stand-up battles, and they'll separate the fighters if grappling exchanges stall out. But if they go with someone like Jason Herzog or Keith Peterson, refs who are more patient with groundwork and submission attempts, that could be a massive advantage for Paddy. The difference in refereeing philosophy could literally determine the outcome of this fight. Gaethje needs the fight to stay standing where his power and experience give him clear advantages. Paddy needs time to work his grappling magic without being rushed back to the feet. The ref choice might be just as important as the actual game plans. Here's another angle that nobody's discussing, the mental warfare that's been happening outside the public eye. Sources close to both camps are saying that the mind games started months ago, long before any official trash talk began. Paddy's team has been deliberately leaking training footage showing him looking sharp and confident. They've been spreading stories about his incredible performances in sparring, building this narrative that he's operating on another level. Meanwhile, Gaethje's camp has been doing the opposite, complete media blackout, no training footage, no insider reports. They're going with the silent assassin approach, letting everyone focus on Paddy's noise while they prepare in darkness. This creates two completely different types of pressure. Paddy has to live up to all the hype he's created. If he doesn't look dominant early, people will start questioning whether it was all just talk. Gaethje, on the other hand, has the pressure of expectations. Everyone expects him to shut up the loud-mouthed Brit with violence. If the fight goes long or gets messy, people will wonder if he's lost a step. The international aspect of this fight is also creating some fascinating dynamics. Paddy represents the new wave of British MMA talent that's been taking over the UFC. He's got that Conor McGregor-level charisma, but with a completely different fighting style. British fans are treating this like their Super Bowl. They see Paddy as their guy who can bring championship gold back to the UK and establish British dominance in the lightweight division. The pressure from his home country is intense, but it's also fuel for his confidence. He knows an entire nation is behind him, and that kind of support can push fighters to achieve things they never thought possible. Gaethje, meanwhile, is representing old-school American MMA values. Work hard, stay humble, let your fists do the talking. He's the embodiment of everything that made American fighters dominant in the early days of the sport. This fight is almost like a cultural clash between the new flashy era of MMA and the traditional warrior mentality. Let's dive into the coaching matchups because that's where some serious chess moves are happening. Paddy's working with a team that specializes in unorthodox game planning. They're not trying to make him fight like everyone else. They're doubling down on what makes him unique and finding ways to weaponize his awkwardness. His coaches have been studying every second of Gaethje's previous fights, looking for patterns and habits they can exploit. They've identified specific moments when Gaethje becomes vulnerable to takedowns, particular combinations that leave him open to counters, and defensive tendencies they think they can break down. Gaethje's coaching staff, led by Trevor Whitman, represents the absolute pinnacle of technical striking development. These guys have turned multiple fighters into champions by perfecting the fundamentals and eliminating weaknesses. They're approaching this fight like a math problem. If we do X, Paddy will respond with Y, and will be ready with Z. The battle between innovative chaos and technical perfection could be decided by which coaching philosophy proves superior on fight night. The weight cut situation is another factor that could swing this entire fight. Both guys are big lightweights who struggle to make 155 pounds, but their approaches to weight cutting are completely different. Paddy has a history of dramatic weight fluctuations between fights. He balloons up during his off time, then goes through brutal cutting processes to make weight. This approach can leave fighters drained and compromised on fight night, but it can also indicate incredible mental toughness and discipline when it matters most. Gaethje, on the other hand, maintains a more consistent walking weight and has a more scientific approach to his cuts. He rarely looks depleted at weigh-ins and typically rehydrates well between the weigh-ins and the fight. If Paddy struggles with his cut or looks drawn out at the weigh-ins, that could be a major tell about how he'll perform. Conversely, if he makes weight easily and looks strong, it might indicate that his conditioning and preparation are at another level for this career-defining opportunity. The pay-per-view implications of this fight are absolutely massive, and both fighters know it. This isn't just about winning a belt, it's about proving you can be a main event star who sells fights and generates revenue. The UFC is watching closely to see who can capture the audience's attention and translate that into pay-per-view buys. Paddy has that natural charisma and promotional ability that the company loves. He can sell a fight with his mouth and his personality, creating storylines that casual fans buy into. But Gaethje represents something different. He's the ultimate fighter's fighter, the guy who delivers guaranteed violence and never disappoints action-wise. The winner of this fight doesn't just get an interim title shot. They get positioned as a future pay-per-view headliner and potential face of the division. That kind of career trajectory is worth millions of dollars in future earnings, and both guys understand exactly what's at stake beyond just the championship implications. Here's something that's been eating at me throughout this entire build-up. The timing of this fight feels almost too perfect. Ilia Topuria gets injured right when the lightweight division is at its most competitive, creating an opportunity for an interim title fight between two guys with completely different styles and fan bases. The UFC gets to test which type of fighter resonates more with audiences while keeping the division moving forward. But there's also a darker possibility that nobody wants to discuss. What if this interim title fight ends up being more significant than anyone realizes? What if Topuria's injury is more serious than reported? Or what if he decides to move up in weight? The winner of this fight could end up being the undisputed champion sooner than expected, which adds even more pressure and significance to an already loaded matchup. Both Paddy and Gaethje are fighting like this, could be their only shot at UFC gold, and that desperation could lead to something truly special or completely catastrophic.